Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are live. You're joining us on the Christian Anime Podcast. I am glad you're here. Um, let us. We're 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 gonna get started. I hope you're all doing well. I know Reagan's been wanting this for a while, so I hope my the expectations set in this that you have actually Reagan are properly set in this video. So that's my that's my hope anyway. Um, as we're waiting for a couple of things, I just wanted to. There's actually one of the videos on the channel. It seems to have popped off, which is our video, the video on how anime debunks this objection to Christianity. Welcome MBFJ. So
There's the
whoops. I'm gonna have to actually write a separate response video for this, do a separate stream video for this, because it seems that some of the comments on here are from actual atheists. This is they're from actual atheists. They're yeah, here we go. There's some atheists here. So I am gonna want to actually respond to these videos. So anyway, this is really funny. So anyway, so there you go. This video is done super well actually. For what it is, which is it's a Vinland Saga video. And using Vinland Saga to debunk the problem of evil anyway. So there you go. There you go. Welcome, Brother Gregory. Welcome, Ninja Raya. Um, so yeah, and I'm pretty chuffed with that. I'm pretty chuffed that that video is doing as well as it is. So yeah. All right. With that, we've got just give us a second. I'm gonna make the canvas a bit smaller so we can actually see we've got a focus on Frieren herself. There you go. So last time you joined me, this was our progress with Frieren. Um, I'm kind of not, I'm kind of not feeling it. I think it's just like, wait, that's not what I want. No, Krita, what are you doing? Krita is doing terrible things to me right now. Oh my goodness. There you go. That's what I want. My favorites, and we want this brush, please. That's not the brush we want, it seems. Wait, no, that's definitely not the brush we want. Oh no, my Krita's bugging out. Wait. Um, Friren's your personal favorite? Hey, that's cool. Tired of collecting skulls for gnomes. Thrones need tacos. What did you just say there? Oh, there we go. Is that it? There we go. Pressure is working again. And can we full screen? Yes, we can. Let's redo this line work. I am not feeling this line work right now. I think we're it's not on. But really looking at the line work, it's just on the original photo that I'm using as a reference. I think it's really delicate. Actually, let's not remove all of the line work because I remember how annoying this was. And do we just continue on it? I would. Let's see. I'm gonna redo this bit of the hair actually. But not the middle bit because I remember how annoying this was to just really make sure. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. There you go. I finally figured out how to change your profile picture for YouTube. I didn't think it would be that difficult, but I guess it seems it has been for you. Um, well, it is in a really hard spot to find because you have to go into, well, I'm not sure if you'd have to go into YouTube Studio for it. That's my assumption. Yeah, why don't we have like it goes a bit thicker like this as it goes up, and then becomes like thin there, thins out there. Then just continue going down like that. Oh, there you go. And we'll just erase this bit here. There we go. That's kind of wholesome. It's kind of wholesome there. You just didn't know how to do it. Yeah, it would have to be through your YouTube Studio. So it's not super super clear how they do it, or how you're supposed to do it. So yeah. Now we have that's still on erase mode. There we go. So we have something like this for this bit of the hair. There we go. There we go. Alright. And as this guy's this bit of the hair is coming down, something like this. There you go. I think that kind of matches it. No, that definitely doesn't match it. It would be something like that. And then this comes down gracefully, as gracefully as it can. That strand of hair. And we just gotta thicken the lines up here a bit. Just ever so slightly thicken them. So yeah. You think I would like Warhammer? Just wondering if I could ask you some questions. Questions are perfectly fine. I am happy with questions. That's a bit too thick, isn't it? You're fairly new here. Well, I wouldn't say this is drawing. I'm very, very, I wouldn't say that this is the most amazing drawing that you'll see. But I like to sketch things out. No, it's purely because Frieren was the winner for Waifu Wars, and then I realized I didn't really want to. Well, we couldn't really have a copyrighted image of Frieren for Waifu Wars, and I don't really have the money to spend right now to commission a portrait of Frieren. So basically, anyway, the consequence of the Waifu Wars competition was that Frieren would be like would become the mascot for the server, essentially. So I think that's. Just let me know if my model is glitching out, by the way, chat. Something like. Something like that. Right. Really subtle here. We're trying to be as subtle as we can. I keep banging the microphone. Goodness gracious me. I see your first question, John. I think that's the way we do it. It just needs a bit more, needs some more weight there, don't it? Sorry, John. I'm currently preoccupied. Your question was, You uploaded a meme? That's fantastic. I'd love to see it on the server. Okay, just wondering on what you think of other religions like Islam and Judaism. I know you don't believe in them, of course, just wondering what you think of them. I think Islam is one of the most insane religions ever. Um, I think it's like because there's a reason why people like Nick Fuentes really likes Islam, and that's because Islam is like the religion of fascism. Like it's a it like if fascists could have a religion, and this is what the funny mustache man said as well, quite a bit ago, not quite a long time ago, but that's one of his that was one of his observations as to why he thought the German people couldn't win the war, and that's because he said unironically, I can't remember the quote it was from, but it was like, oh, if only we had the religion of the Arabians rather than the religion of Judaism, or like Christianity, because it has made us weak. Um, so yeah, that's what I think of Islam, which is like it's the perfect religion for those who want to maintain power, and we see that through the various expressions of Sharia law and Islamic states in the Middle East right now, where they are incredibly authoritarian, and that's not something that we want. Rabbinic Judaism is a religion based on rejecting Christ. Islam is the ramblings of yes, PDF file, for real. And Christianity is the truth. I would agree with that. And I think, unfortunately, with a lot of Judaism as well, like you gotta like some of them. This is why I'm like really strong against those who are like Zionist against the Zionist evangelicals. It's because like hey guys, you do know that these guys hate us. Like these we should if these guys hate us, like are we should we really be working with them? Of course we should still be loving them. I'd agree with that. Um we should love them as much as possible. But at the same time, it's just like is it is love then to say, oh, we should support the an Israeli state? Like that's my um which is my point of contention. Okay, cool. I can see that I really shouldn't have tried doing this. Maybe to match that better. There's that. I also have other opinions on Judaism as well, which is like they're very similar to Redeemed Zoomers. Of course, Redeemed Zoomer has a more emotional attachment to Judaism because he used to be um, part of that religion. Like he is ethnically Jewish, and like parts of his community, like that's where he grew up. It's about loving your enemies, less pacifism, but Thorfinn does not vow to kill. What did he say? The Farmland arc made people think that Vinland Saga was about pacifism, but the next arc is literally a giant war. Yeah, I think that's the unfortunate thing. Whoops. Give me a second, guys. I am back. I am back. That's actually one of my great annoyances with one of my annoyances is with the Christian pacifist movement. Um, because I think it's perfectly reasonable for the Christian to engage in warfare, particularly in self-defense. We do have just war theory, right, from Augustine. I'm pretty sure it's from Augustine. No, it's not Augustine, is it? No, it is Augustine, who formulates it. Um, we're really not getting the curve that I'm looking for in this. Maybe if I did it this way. Oh, whoops. Nope, that's not what I want. Um, Sorry, I might have just doxed myself. Alright, that's not what I want. Whoops. That's not what I want either. What I want is you, Control Z. There we go. Okay, maybe that was a bad idea after all. I've broken a couple of things, all because no, that's not it. Oh, what's happened here? Oh no, oh no. I've done an oopsie. I've done a whoopsie. Okay, I think I've just kaputted something. Oh, there we go. Nope. So you don't want to, but now you want to show. Ah, there we go. Okay, cool. Here, I'm just checking if I've doxed myself by doing that. Definitely not good. I have not indeed doxed myself. Pacifism is an ideology of plenty, having plenty of other people who will die in your stead. For real, for real. I believe in my country you believe your country is persecuting Christians. It is our duty as fellow Christians to unite and destroy that country. So I have a different way of doing that. I know this, okay, this Christian manhwa has been recommended to me multiple times, so much so that I will eventually cover it. Not right now, but trust, I will cover the horizon. Bear with me. Oh, it's Sojo over. Wait. What's our peak viewership right now? 12 views? That's perfectly fine for a drawing stream, I should think. So yeah, you I'm assuming that was a typo. But yeah, my position currently on Christian pacifism is that I think it's like, yeah, that's totally fine. We shouldn't destroy the country. If we see that there is a country that is engaging in wrongdoing, like for example, the persecution of Christians, but does that mean we go into every country, right? I think it's like this is the argument that one can make, which is like, oh, what if Russia, for example, like China is currently persecuting the Uyghur population, and it is as if they were creating concentration camps for this particular group of people. Is that justification then for us to go to war with China? And there are multiple reasons why people don't really want to go to war with China. Mainly the nuclear option, right? Because China does possess a bunch of nuclear weapons. So that's why that's all part of like just war theory, which is unfortunately we can't like save everyone as much as we want to. And that is the reality of politics, of global politics anyway, or of real politic as it is conceived. I'm quite chuffed with that. That's okay, even though it's not quite as symmetrical. And I've just realized it's not meant to be symmetrical because on the reference photo I'm looking at, Frieren doesn't even have that. It's meant to go down like, whoops. It's meant to go down like all the way like this on the reference photo I'm looking at. Damn. Okay, cool. So we spent all that time, I spent all that time really worrying where this bit should be. I've just realized that I shouldn't have been worrying about it. There you go. There we go. Oh my goodness. I'm chuffed with that. Good afternoon, silly salami slapper. Welcome, Greenluck. Nukes and the Asian 5-year-olds are driving robots. Yeah, for real, for real. But as an Eastern Orthodox Christians, there are many times when the emperors went to war because another country was persecuting Christians within its borders. I can think of like the Crimean War, for example. That is definitely it. I believe that war is only necessary if the wicked make it so. World War II was necessary because the wickedness of the Axis powers left no choice but to fight against them. World War I and Vietnam were unnecessary. So, for example, I think World War II like what's the what were the things leading up to World War II? So mainly it's because the Germans invaded, the Germans annexed Austria, Germans invaded Czechoslovakia, and the British gave a guarantee of peace to Poland. Sorry, a guarantee of independence for Poland. Germany invaded Poland, so of course the British and the French had no other choice but to declare war on Germany. So like that's the in terms of legalities, I think that's the way to do it. I think if you're talking about like World War I, that wasn't like an unnecessary war because like what was World War I? It was a war fought on legalities, and the legality was Austria Austria listed a couple of demands towards Serbia. Serbia said no because Austria was allied. Austria went to war with Serbia because Serbia was allied with Russia. Russia came to protect the Serbs because of their dedication. Russia at the time had this like foreign policy of like protecting the Orthodox countries in the Balkan states. So yeah, in terms of Vietnam, I think Vietnam was also a necessary war because we gotta stop the communists. Is all it is. Yeah, me and you could talk about war theory and when a Christian should go to war and not. Yeah, for real, for real. We could talk about it forever and ever and ever. You're just saying as a base we should unite to go after those that persecute us. And I don't think it's as cut and dry as that because unfortunately, like in the modern world, can we really go to war with countries that persecute us? And I can think of like, do we really want to go to war with Iran right now, right? I think like for the majority of the U.S. population, war with Iran is not something that they want. So there you go. World War II only happened because of World War One did. I hear that theory a lot sometimes, and I'm thinking about it. I'm still like these are the sorts of things that I ponder about as a university historian, right? Or as a university historian student, as a student historian, because we can make a lot of assertions in history, like what were the causes of World War Two. I'm thinking of like, let's say the Great Depression didn't happen. Would Germany still be in the economic state that it was? And because let's see, if that was the case, that World War II left the German people broken, then why didn't we see like the same nationalist sentiments rising up in countries like Austria and Hungary? What about in Czechoslovakia, right? Which like that it left those countries broken as well. Same with Turkey, right? Why didn't we see after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire? Why didn't we see those same sentiments rising up in Turkey? And I think ultimately, World War II came as a result of, yes, the economic uncertainty that came after, not only after World War One, but also because of the Great Depression. Not only that, but it is mainly because I think the charisma of the Austrian mustache man. I think because of him, that's one of the reasons why it came to be. Austria fell to a bundle of sticksism. Austria and Hungary, really not Hungary. I don't think Austria did either. I might be mistaken. If I'm mistaken here, Austria pre-World War II. Let's see, Austria, let's look at 1936. And Hungary, 1936. Let's bring up the Wikipedia pages for it. Oh, okay. And what's the party that this guy belongs to? OF party. But what's the leader of the Fatherland Front? which is a not bundle of sticksist. It wasn't a bundle of sticksist party. It was just a national. It's just a conservative nationalist party and corporatist, which is you could. Okay, I'll concede. Maybe Austria did fall to bundle of sticksism under the Fatherland Front. Um, would I say the same for Hungary though? We're looking in particular Miklos Horthy. But would you really say Miklos Horthy was a bundle of sticksis? No, it was just like it wasn't necessarily a bundle of stickism. I don't think anyway. Um, can we have the party? Throughout the interwar period, Horthy led an administration characterized by national conservatism and anti-Semitism. Under his leadership, Hungary banned the Hungarian Communist Party and the far-right Arrow Cross Party, led by Ferenc Szalasi, and pursued a revanchist foreign policy. So I wouldn't, I don't think you could, of course you could characterize as, oh, maybe Miklos Horthy is bundle of sixes. I don't think he was. It was just national conservative. Well, we'll say with that. But a major part of Austria was bundle of sixes, just like Germany, who only 40% of votes for the mustache man. That's also the other thing in Germany as well, which is like the only reason why the Kantseist party in Germany rose to the position that it did was because the conservatives wanted to, like, they formed a coalition with them, and like their plan to their secret plan as well. So there's a multitude of reasons why. I'm just pointing out there are a multitude of reasons why World War II did happen. And we still haven't provided an explanation, right, for Turkey, right, which is nationalism. Like we didn't see like a bundle of sixes party rise up in Turkey, and that also explains, like, we're not really explaining how Italy comes into the fray either, because like bundle of sixism rose in Italy, and they weren't necessarily the loser of World War I either. So yeah. Horthy was not a bundle of sixes, for real, for real. For real, for real. Because of Ataturk's secular nationalism. But again, it wasn't bundle of sixism, and there wasn't like a rising, there wasn't an ultra-nationalism in the same way there was in Germany, so yeah. I think he was bundle of sixist, but in an Italian way. Yeah, that is one of the other things about like that I think liberals always, this is the thing with labels, right? Because we can say Mussolini was bundle of sticksist, but he wasn't in the same way, like bundle of sticksism and National Socialism, like Kantseism. Oh no, I think we can say National Socialism. That won't be pinged by the YouTube algorithm. But yeah, that's it. Not every defeat leads to bundle of sixism. Look at Russia. Yes. Yeah. Me and you need to have a chat on bundle of sixism. Maybe. Do you like Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia? I know this is heretical to say on the Christian on a Christian channel, but I have not read those books. I really need to. I would like to read too, but I just don't have the time to read anymore, like one might have had in their younger years. So, but eventually I'll read them, and I'll tell you what I think about them. Your favorite part of history is Imperial Russian history, so like from the 16th century to the early 20th century. Cool, cool, cool. Where's our reference? You know, we're gonna do this in our own way, even though I think it would be kind of, let's have like this cute. Also, it looks like there's some political instability on the server right now because our coalition partner, um, the Content Society, I wish they had Okay, there's currently an election reforms bill that is being passed in on the Discord Parliament, and there was a compromise that we pushed forward as the Republic Party, and we didn't necessarily have the consultation with the Content Society. So I really do hope the election reforms bill is going to be passed. But there's a particular amendment that we would like to have passed as well, but is not being passed because of the Content Society. Yes, I am a big fan of history. I think I've told this before, guys, but I am gonna be that is one of the things I'm studying to be, which is to be a history. Whether or not I actually become a history teacher is a separate question, but that is something that I am studying to be. Like that'd be the dream though, which is if I got this degree and I was able to move to Japan because of it, to be a English slash Japan history Western history teacher in Japan, that would be fantastic. I'd do that. Um, I'd get a Japanese visa, working visa, to live in Japan. And because of the Japanese economy, I'd basically be able to live pretty all right if I depended on YouTube channel income as well. So there you go. Hey, that ain't so bad. That is pretty bad actually. Oh my goodness, it's just this weight. Maybe yeah, no, I was right the first time. Even though the reference has something completely different, we're gonna fight against the reference for now. Something like that. That ain't too bad. That ain't too bad. Welcome, Bernardo. You love Christian movies. Any history movies you watch recently? I don't really like history movies. And I know that's a shock, but I don't appreciate. There's this it's like I keep mentioning I sorry, I haven't really talked about this subject yet. So this is why I do take an issue with shows like The Chosen. Wait, we can write we can explain it here. So there's this concept in postmodernism called a simulation. So what is a simulation? What is a simulation? So a simulation is if you have this is reality, right? And a simulation is anything that's trying to copy reality. So whether that be a photograph, whether that be a book, whether that be a movie, right? Let's have that film. So all of these are simulations of reality. However, so let's say reality was a recent history movie was like Oppenheimer, right? So this is reality, Oppenheimer. And then we get like all of these history books of Oppenheimer. Now, but there's a bit of a problem here now because when we as humans look at the simulation, we think that is real, but it's not real. It is what is called hyperreal, um, according to postmodernism, anyway. Now, and it does get worse. It does get worse because then comes our history movies, like Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, right? And I'm just gonna put Chris Nolan's Oppenheimer. This is also a simulation, but it's a special type of simulation called a simulacra. Because what it is, it's a simulation of a simulation. So, and here comes the problem, because then someone will watch Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, and they're like, that is real, but it's not real. It's hyper. You're the person who's watching this. All of the people who are watching history movies, they are living in a world called hyper reality, right? They're not actually living in reality, because we don't know. They can't, they don't know what reality is, because they don't know, they haven't read a history book, right? What they have is they've watched a movie, right? This is the same thing with Chernobyl, right? When I talk, for those of you who've watched the series, when I talk about Chernobyl, when we're talking about Chernobyl, right? Do you first think of Chernobyl as a series? Do you first think of like the historical events that actually occurred in Chernobyl, or do you think of the series Chernobyl? So that's like my wasn't my channel name Atheist Anime Podcast when this was April 1st? Yeah, it was. I have seen Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence. I've done a video on that. So yeah. Well, if you dislike simulation, why just study history? I mean, stuff like War and Peace, not something like newest Napoleon movie. But that's the thing, right? That's why I dislike history movies, because you get stuff like Napoleon, which push forward a very it pushes forward a view of history which is just not real. It's just not real, right? So that's why that's why I think it's best to always study the original sources. They're the most authentic. Of course, unfortunately, you can't stop history movies being made. I still think like history movies are really cool when they are historically accurate. Or if you think of something like Death of Stalin, I really like Death of Stalin because it's not trying to be a simulacra, right? Of course, it still has its own like historical inaccuracies. It still has like its historical thing that is pushing, but it gives you an idea of what the time of the period was. So I'm okay with things like Death of Stalin because it was like genuinely, and I'm okay with things like Chernobyl actually, because Chernobyl actually is pretty accurate to it. But when we talk about things like Napoleon, yeah, that's a bit cringe. When I watched watched the first hour of the Gandhi movie, and there were like, you can see like some of the things that were trying to be pushed in it. So anyway, but ultimately that's why I think as Christians anyway, or as like viewers, this is why we should just be aware of the stuff that we're watching and just to think critically about it. So that's why I don't like history movies. I will still watch some history movies, but some of them are really dull as well. They're really, really dull and boring. So that's another problem with it as well. I see where you come from, as you're a history teacher, for real, for real. Just study it. Never go to a history movie or documentary to learn about history unless it's controversial. I'm watching a documentary on the 1990s Yugoslavian Serbian conflicts. And that's the same thing with like YouTube historians as well. I think YouTube historians, this is why like at some point I do want to, thank you, John. Good, cool. I'm watching the documentary that basically was made the point of view of the Serbian people, and it's a very controversial documentary. I see. I watched Despot of Antrim's Napoleon video. He debunks it all. Yes, very cool, very cool. Yeah, which is like, and that's my biggest problem with like history movies, which is like, I think history movies can be done in a way which can be historically accurate, and more power to them. Like, God bless, like go do it, like be amazing. However, history movies are often done in a way which are like trying to pushes a particular historical narrative, that pushes a particular point of view of historians, which I would usually disagree with. So for those of you who aren't aware, like there are more conservative historians and there are more like progressive historians, and often is the case that there is like a particular point of view that is pushed by historians. So there you go. I'm gonna say this is gonna be a very chubby looking Frieren, but I don't mind. I'm just looking and the hair on this is I'm disliking this every moment that I look at it. Because I think there's just like, oh, that should be much tighter, I think. Why don't we try do that? And we'll see if my grievances are grievanced. If we just do something like this, we make it like super tight. I think that'd work. That'd really work, wouldn't it? And yeah, my passion for history is really because I think we as people of the present need to learn, need to be aware of our heritage as well. Like this is one of the things for Australians in particular, which is I think and white Australia in particular, which is like white Australia is constantly bombarded with how much they should be ashamed of themselves. And you see it in every bit of culture, right? Which is like, oh, we need to do like an acknowledgement of country. We should totally do that, and we should be. It's comical. It's comical how much just like the progressive narrative of history just permeates through society, and I think it's just like, oh, we need to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, and white Australia. We're not going to acknowledge the contributions that the British made, because the British are very evil and they're very bad, and they were the colonizers, and we don't like colonizers. Colonizing is a very bad thing. Um, anyway, that's so that's one of my big passions in history as well, which is I think for kids in my classroom, right? I want them to, especially if they're white, I want them to not feel guilty about the past because of something that their grandparents did. Japan does a really good way of like, because this, for example, when we're thinking of like when we're thinking of like German history, of course, when Germans think about their history, are they proud of their history? No. However, I think is that detrimental to the national psyche? It can be, right? When we compare the way that Japan and Germany have dealt with their histories, Japan has become like absolutely amazing because they, yes, the truth needs to be told, but it doesn't need to be told in a way in which like, oh, you must be ashamed of your ancestors, right? Welcome in. Most artists hate their own work. I really don't like this. Okay. I think it's okay now because the hair looked a little bit chubby, but this is going okay now. You know, it's nice to discuss religion and politics with people, since I only discussed that type of stuff with one person so far. Hey, that's cool. That's cool. I think it's perfectly fine to you as long as you find the people who are comfortable yapping to you. I think that's one of the as a that's one of my motivations as well as a so not I'm not fully a history teacher. Like I teach humanities as well, which I think just to talk about it, I think it's cool. Japan just censors their history. A lot of people don't even know that those war crimes in China happened. And I mean, does it need to be told, right? I think there's that line between yes, speaking the truth, um, and because what's the Japanese child gonna say about that? Like if you taught that to a generation of Japanese people that, oh, did you know that your grandfathers committed massive war crimes in China and throughout Southeast Asia, is that beneficial to the national narrative? Um, when we think about like Japan as a Japan as a state right now, that is a vital strategic partner for a lot of Southeast Asian countries. That is a vital strategic partner for Korea, right? And same with Taiwan. Um, are we going to talk about something that happened 80 years ago that has no bearing on what happened to what on the like the economic well-being of the average Japanese citizen? And I'm like, no, I think this is the and this is like our discussion on meta narratives, right? Which is what can a meta narrative do to a country? Which is meta narratives can absolutely shame a country into like, oh, you shouldn't then progress. But at the same time, I'm looking at like, I think it would be amazing for Japan to currently remilitarize. Like there might be some memories from World War II, like, oh, Japan shouldn't remilitarize because um because of what happened in the past. But I think it's like for speaking from a Filipino perspective, and I think speaking from the Australian perspective as well, I think it is absolutely vital that we get Japan on board to step up its military funding, to step up its defense spending, so that we don't need to rely on the U.S. And anyway, the U.S. is wanting to pull out of certain countries, which is why like Japan needs to be that country to lead the rest of Asia. So there you go. Those war crimes still affect the diplomacy of Japan, Korea, China, and Taiwan. Yeah, which is unfortunate. But again, it's like, yeah, it is what it is. Honestly, Japan is hated by the majority of the Western world. Not necessarily. You'll be surprised that Japan is actually really amongst, yeah, of course, amongst the progressives, like left wing bubbles. I think Japan is like, people don't really like Japan, but for most normal people, like Japan is like a really cool place to be. Japan's like a good is a economic partner. Um, it's the place where anime is made. Like that's the image that Japan has given itself. I am probably going to do a video on Japanese war crimes at some point as well because of the recent. There's that TV special that recently released on Cocoon. I think the TV special is. I'm just gonna give me a sec, guys. So sorry, I'm gonna reread that again. The right loves Japan, and I pray the global popularity of Japanese pop culture is used by God to bring about the salvation of the nation. And I read your comment, Juwin, as well. I think that it is funny that there is like, I'm sure there is a minority out there somewhere which is like of vapid communists who are like demanding reparations from Spain, which would be really funny because right now the Spanish government is a socialist government, so it would be really funny if that would be there. So if reparations were paid, but I'm not a big reparations kind of guy because I think what can you really do? Um, when we talk about like generational trauma and things like that, I think there are better ways to engage in generational trauma other than providing reparations, right? I think it's unhelpful to be thinking of that. I actually immigrated to Australia with my family, so I was not born in Australia, which is why like I'm very, very interested in like Filipino politics still, because I wouldn't look. I LARP as a Filipino nationalist, but there is also an unironic part of me which is like I think it is helpful and beneficial to think of the Philippines right now. um, like that's part of my biases, right, which is I think Australia should be pursuing ties with its Southeast Asian neighbors, including the Philippines. So yeah. There we go. Sorry. No, I am trying to speak. I'd love to speak some Tagalog, but my Tagalog is like konti lang ng Tagalog ko. You had to take a whole unit on generational trauma at uni, which is like I think it's still a contested thing as well because the impact of that sort of the impact of like generational trauma theory is massive, right? Because if it is true that there is like a genuine correlation between stuff that happened in the past, of course, okay, no, so I'm not denying that general racial trauma does exist, right? But when we're talking about like events that occurred 80 years ago, um, and does that still affect uh, people today? Um, and I could yes on and I could like point to various different success stories. Like for example, when specifically referring to Aboriginal Australians in Australia, right? I can point to various other factors as to why Aboriginal Australians are unfortunately like they aren't doing as well as the rest of the country. I can point to the different ways in which Aboriginal culture values more like it values being in relationship with nature, right? It doesn't value industrialization, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that they are focusing on different areas that they are valuing. They value more community, which individualism, like capitalist individualistic culture, does not value community as much. They value way more. They value way more different things than what the current structure of our society values, which is why, unfortunately, because they don't value like, oh, does yes, there may be individual indigenous families which would be okay with like the father being the breadwinner and going out to like work, and then the mother stays at home, or both parents go away to work and then they come in. No, but Aboriginal culture really values that. Oh, let's have that community vibe, and we're gonna stick together as a mob, which is like, there you go. That's one case, and I think suggesting it is a very dangerous thing to suggest, oh hey, maybe we should change indigenous culture in that case. But I think those it becomes super super sensitive when it comes to that, right? So yeah, of course I think ultimately, yeah, generational trauma definitely exists in individuals. We know there's evidence that shows children who are abused by a parent are more likely to be involved in domestic violence situations. Yes, so generational trauma does definitely exist. Are we talking about like a widespread level? Maybe. Yes, yes. So that's the point of contention, right? Um, but for example, I think there's other things like when we look at migrant communities who do enter Australia, um, I don't know why they don't provide statistics of it here in Australia, but apparently, wait, there's the Asian income statistic that we always bring up. Um, Income of Asian Americans graph. Yeah, here we go. We got some Filipino representation on this graph as well. I'm sure some of you guys may have already seen this graph. Sorry, guys. If you can hear that in the background, and I hope you can't, good. It doesn't look like my mic's picking it up, but there's some insane stuff that's happening outside that I can't really hear. But as we can see here, for example, right? And this is like which is what I would point out to. Yeah, good. That's good. Hey, podcast son, are you still gay? Not right now. Hey guys, April Fools is over. I am no longer homosexual. Is what I'm saying. I'm gonna have to deal with that later. Whoops. Sorry. I just got an out on Discord. My bad. All right. So I think this graph here, I think perfectly displays like the difference in cultures. Anyway, so for example, like Indian Americans, median household income in the United States by ethnic group, and you can see Indian Americans really high up there. Same with Filipinos, Taiwanese Americans, Sri Lankan, Japanese, Malaysian, Chinese, Pakistani, and then white Americans are like kind of here in the middle. Korean Americans, Indonesian Americans, and the average is here. And we have Thai, Bangladesh, Nepal, and then Hispanic and African Americans way down here in the bottom. But this is like the perfect demonstration as to why I think culture is what matters rather than it being caused by generational trauma. When we're talking about like racism, the history of racism in the United States, of course, like African Americans were subject to slavery, and that's a bad thing, right? But when we're talking about like segregation, when we're talking about like racist policies as well, which were implemented during the 20th century, those definitely affected Asian Americans. But we can see here when we look at the modern day anyway. Those opportunities that make America like very, very that individualistic culture, which is rewarded by the American economy. It's definitely rewarded up here, and we can see like that up there. You heard that INC has big power over politics in the Philippines. Could you open that up? INC, what do you mean by INC? I got called a Yahtzee, but that's fine. I ended up becoming, oh my goodness, Rex, you didn't have to, you ended up becoming a bundle of sticksist, bro. After the corruption and rot set in the Republican Party, thanks to people like Mitch McConnell. Yeah. Well, I think that's on you. So ultimately, I think when I think of like really extremist ideologies like communism and fascism, or bundle of sixism. Whoops, I said the F word. Sorry, guys. It's those sorts of ideologies which I think are you actually going to make change? No, probably not. Like this is why political parties exist. It's because you need to moderate on your views. Do you mean Iglesia no Cristo? That's it. INC. No, that I know Iglesia no Cristo. I think it's unfortunate that something like that, because it doesn't have very, very big political power in the Philippines. I wasn't under the impression of that. It's because Indians are encouraged by their parents to become doctors and Filipinos to be nurses. For real, for real. Yeah. Yeah, Iglesia no Cristo. Yes, yes. I am aware. It's just I didn't realize that was their acronym. So yeah. But I don't think I'm under the impression that they're not as big in the Philippines. I don't think they have like massive institutional power. So yeah. I do want to at least get the line work done. So chat, you are once again distracting me, which is absolutely diabolical of you. How dare you, chat? How dare you? Alright, how's that hair going? That hair is going like that. No, something like that. Hey, that's way better. That's good stuff. Good stuff. I'm happy with that. That's pretty alright. Yeah, I'm quite chuffed. That's not too bad. I heard that they assassinated a journalist that criticized them. Ooh, that's insane. From the Wikipedia article. Maybe I am misinformed then, but as I said, I don't think they have massive institutional power. Sure, they might have like private power to assassinate. Like political assassinations in the Philippines are. I know it's insane to think of in like our Western democracies, but in the Philippines, it's not like a it's not a surprise, right? If someone has the political power to like assassinate their opponents, something like that. There we go. Cool, 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 cool. Frieren eyebrows, and she's got like this. She's got like this uwu kind of from the reference I'm looking at. Hello, welcome Talos. That unaliving thing sounds more like Kibaloi. Okay, Kibaloi is a pastor who leads a Christian cult called the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. And yeah, insane stuff. I think they are pretty like they've got like the as far as I'm aware, they're like they actually own a media company, which is like the most right wing a Filipino company can be, but there's not like a real conservative kind of media company in the Philippines. So like the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, their media company is one of the only ones that kind of supports conservative leaders anywhere in the Philippines. Is it really? No. So that's what I mean by so when we refer like Christian cults there are cults which are derived from Christianity. So, for example, Mormonism is a Christian cult, right? Jehovah's Witnesses are a Christian cult. Those are the sorts of things. It happens in the U.S. more than people think. Chicago, oof. Have you heard about the Shinchonji cult? Yes. They do a lot of recruiting in Australian universities. So yeah, it is really bad. I think this is one of the things. I think Redeem Zoomer kind of said it the best, which is like, unfortunately, we are moving in that period that because the institutional power of the Western Church, like the center of Christianity, has always been like Europe, America, Australia. Now, the more that the institutional power in the West reduces, we're gonna start seeing more of these Christian cults spreading because there's not like an institutional authority which is like pushing back on them. Do we think this sort of stuff could have happened in the 60s or the 50s, right? It wouldn't happen. Like these cults still existed, but they didn't have like as much spread as they do right now. So yeah, unfortunately, the Jehovah's Witnesses are very close to becoming their own denomination. Yeah, it's big oof. Hope the stream continues. Stream's definitely going to continue. Oh, whoops. Yeah, that's right. Whoops. Very professional stream, guys. Sorry, I had this. I added the uwu, and now I'm looking back at the hair, and I think it needs to be a bit more floofy. Needs a bit more floof at the top. There. I'm happy with that. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. No, definitely not something like that. It's just a little off from what I'm seeing. Yeah, it is what it is. Like there's like these small. You know what? Let's fix it now before I get super annoyed. Just scrap the whole thing. I see a question on idolatry.
Is it idolatry or self-indulgent to create art that expresses a negative emotion? Um, let's see what chat thinks first. What do you think, chat? There was a campaign from Jehovah's Witnesses in my school's bus stop for half a year. They were waiting for someone to approach. I was the only one to. Oof. Yeah, definitely wouldn't give the government power to define what a cult is, though. So that is the thing. Yeah. What about laws against it? Because I know here in Australia, like there are like laws to like to. I think the best you can do is if they become like a terrorist group, and you can define terrorism in other ways. So that's how I think would be the best way to do it, because then it would be really really hard to or it would be at least there would at least be some way to kind of regulate it if you were to um define it as a terrorist group. Or even here, like her chin here isn't super thick, something like that. Like I know, for example, like we have a family friend who we've known for forever, because they're Filipinos as well, and they've been really big at that. This is chat. You're going insane right now. Goodness gracious me. Okay, so on that question, it seems you're not answering the question, chat. Wait. So the original question I gave you is it idolatry or self-indulgent to create art that expresses a negative emotion? In my view, I think like to put anything like art, you need to some of the greatest pieces of art are art where that is imbued with emotion. I don't think it's like, is it a sin to feel emotion while you're making art? And I don't think so. That's the that's my thing. I don't really think that's the case. Um I'd like to see if chat does like. Of course, I think you can feel you can feel emotions in like a really bad way. Like there's a unhealthy way in which emotions can be viewed, but it's not necessarily a sin to do it. Depends on what you're making as art or product. Like, and I think art is a good way to actually regulate some of those emotions as well, so that if you place okay, so for example, right, if you're feeling an incredible amount of anger, that's a separate issue, right? Like the I think it is a um if you're leaning heavily into anger, that's a really bad thing. Or if you're leaning heavily into fear or worry and anxiety, I think like you need to depend on God more. I think for the secular person though, of course, I think as much as possible, I would suggest to a secular person, right? Like you need to depend on Jesus more to fulfill that. But I know for the and for some secular people who are non-believers, I'm sure like art is a way that they can put out all of their anger and put out all of their misery and suffering through, rather than doing it. Like for example, you see all these game companies falling to DEI because they forgot that they're supposed to make a product rather than an emotional statement. I suppose the dilemma I have is that I would like to create art that expresses negative emotions like betrayal without resolution. As a Christian, you still need to portray some hope. Um, I would look at. I haven't read Lamentations yet in the Bible, but there's books like Lamentations and Ecclesiastes. But even in Ecclesiastes, right, even though it's very, very um, negative, it still has a bit of hope at the end. So there you go. I try to converse with the Jehovah's Witnesses about religion and otherwise, not debate necessarily, two times, but they were trying to evangelize me as if I was a kid, but we also talked about the Bible. But it wasn't productive, so I didn't talk to them anymore. And I think that's the best you can really do. Um, There we go. That's nice. That's nice, isn't it? I love these for I love drawing elf ears actually. They're the it's just like you just wanna hold them, right? You just wanna put your hands over them and you just wanna feel them. Like I feel like that is it just me, chat? Is that me just being weird? But like that's where I have this thing for elf ears that you just wanna like whack them. You just want to do what Fern does in the anime and just like keep just hold on to them. So yeah. What denomination are you? I am Baptist. But I'm on more the Reformed side. So I would say I'm Reformed Baptist, but there's not really such a thing as Reformed Baptist because we wouldn't I'm leaning towards more Reformed kind of stuff. Is all it is. It's similar as to why you pat people in the head for real, for real. Yeah, Reagan, you got it. Yeah, I like patting people in the head. It's like it's okay. No, I shouldn't say that on stream. Whoops. I was about to say something incredibly inappropriate, and could be misconstrued as harassment. So I won't say it on stream. But I've said on chat. Oh no, is Salami still here? Salami still here? Yes. What's the one thing I say, Salami, that I like hanging out with? Like I like being around. What's the thing that I always say, Salami? You gotta. I know you can finish the sentence for me. I like being around what? That's slanderous. That's not at all. That's not at all what I said. That's a terrible thing to say, Salami. And I would hope that you retract that statement immediately. Now, Baptist in Australia rather than in the Philippines. You pat. I'm not gonna read what you wrote there. Yes, I like being around cute anime girls. Like it's just a thing. It's just like there's something that's hardwired in my biology that would say I I just need to be around cute things. So there you go. And if I see someone cute, like you just gotta pat them on the head. Like there's it's the only natural thing to do. I've just realized I've made Frieren's ears super super short, and I think I should extend them. Not in a harassment way, for real, for real. Salami, I suggest you stop this slander. Should you just give Frieren short ears? I don't mind. Well, I do mind. oh, oh my goodness. But it is what it is. We can't really do anything about it right now. It was my mistake in the sketching phase. All right, let's remove the details. That actually ain't bad. I'm pretty happy with that. That the line art has turned out pretty okay. That's oh my goodness. This isn't gonna be my piece de resistance, but this is I'm pretty chuffed with this actually. That's pretty cute. We just need to add the pigtails in the eyes. So, yeah. I do have water. What was your YouTube name? Atheist Podcast. Sorry, you just got here. That was for no. So on April 1, I just had an epiphany. On the 1st of April, I was like, you know what? I think I'm actually an atheist. So for the whole day, of April 1st, here in Australia and in America as well, I was like, yeah, I gotta be. I'm gonna change my channel as well and just dedicate myself to the cause of atheism. And then after by the time April 2nd came, I had an epiphany. I had an epiphany that maybe this atheism thing didn't work out very well for me. And I was like, you know what, I'm okay to come back to Christianity. So that's it. Is April Fool's as big a thing in Australia? That's all it is. Dude, don't say you had an epiphany when it was it an April Fool's joke? I don't know. Like I can't really tell you. And that's all it is. I don't know what it was, but it was just something in me on the first of April, just specifically the 1st of April. I couldn't really I couldn't really feel that feeling any other day except on the 1st of April. I was like, huh, is it? Don't make me become your lawyer. um, Your Honor, he did not mean that in that particular way. You know I say unhinged stuff all the time. Hey, look, guys. You think I care what I say on this channel? Let me remind you. Let me remind you who the guy who you're talking with. Let me remind you the person who you've decided to subscribe to, the person you see every day on stream. This is the person. This is the person that you've subscribed to. This is your fault, guys. This is your fault. And Saxon definitely doesn't like that I do this, but I think it's freaking hilarious when I do this. Remember, guys, this is the guy who made this clip. Unironically, Makima, in another world where the dating pool was just her and me, I would love to bark for Makima. I'd be Denji all day barking for Makima, right? That's and I can totally fix her as well. Right, there you go. I just had to remind Saxon right there. Goodness gracious me. Don't forget about the Mussolini clip, which I haven't clipped yet. And allegedly Salami is making a clips channel, which I haven't seen any word of, and he hasn't sent to me. Yes. That time my wife reincarnated as an elementary student is a Christian anime. For real, for real. You're so real for that, Salami. Did you actually genuinely forget about the clips channel you were supposed to make, Salami? Goodness gracious me. We need a clips channel for this channel. After all of the unhinged things that I say, I think it's just Zaist. It's just so Zaist for it to exist. It needs to exist. Yeah, why don't we do something like that? Wait. You know what? Let's keep it simple. I'm not gonna overcomplicate things. Alright, we'll come back to that. But it's somewhere like that as well. Oops. Yeah, that's a bit the proportions in there are a bit. You know what? It's not gonna bother me right now. You're posting your memes about podcast, son, on yours. That's good. I don't know much about Baptists. What are their main theological beliefs in regards to Christianity? We literally, I think that's why I'm a Baptist ultimately, which is like we don't have a well, there's the one thing which is like the commonality of the fellowship of believers. I think that's what it's called. But this idea that it's not just of course in like a Anglican church it would be like you there's like a church eldership, there are church elders, or like there's the there's the authority, right? Or if we talk about like the Catholic Church, there are like there's the priesthood of all believers. That's it. So that's one of the main things about a Baptist church, which is the priesthood of all believers, which is everyone can hear from God, right? Um, it's not just the leadership, which I really appreciate about Baptists. However, I've just realized how wrong that is. Oh my goodness. Podcast son from the past, why did you do this? Why doth thou torture me so? Um, but otherwise, Baptists don't really have like a like the one thing we have commonality on is probably the that baptism is by immersion, and it is a personal declaration, and you should be baptized in that way. But other than that, like Baptists disagree on a lot of things, right? When it comes to, and that's the good thing about Baptist churches, right? Because even within my church, there are Baptists who are more like me, who are more Calvinist leaning. There are Baptists who are less Calvinist leaning. They reject Calvinism altogether. There are there are Baptists like me who would be okay being in fellowship with Catholics. There's a older lady at my church who is like, nope, Catholics believe in a different gospel altogether. You can consider yourself a Calvinist, Baptist, Anglican, Presbyterian. You steal from all three. So yeah. I was actually raised in a Baptist church. Left after a while. It wasn't your thing. Yeah, for real, for real. What about the fact that the apostles baptized entire households? I don't want to like when you're talking about the apostles baptized entire households. What if they all did it individually? And like it doesn't mention like when there are other places in the Bible, for example, in the Old Testament, that where they talk not necessarily exaggeratively, but they talk in generalities. Like for example, when Israel destroyed all of the Canaanites, did they destroy literally annihilate all of the Canaanites? No, because there were still Canaanites in the land. So they just destroyed the majority. They annihilated the majority of the Canaanites to the point that their culture could no longer be reproduced, or hopefully their culture wouldn't be reproduced. So in the same way, I think when you say, oh, the whole household was baptized, like really. You like cinnamon toast crunch? We don't have that here in Australia. I must be missing out. Unless it's a gay, um, unless it's something gay and you're trying to make me say something gay, which, then I don't like it. So there you go. I believe in baptism for believers, and I can refute any infant baptizer, but don't have to argue here. I will say though, if someone was baptized as an infant, I would say it was an improper baptism, but it wasn't like it's not an invalid baptism. Like that guy doesn't need to be baptized again, which is perfectly fine by me. So if someone was baptized as a baby, it's a valid baptism. It's just improper. Why don't we actually start from the top here? Goodness gracious me. Something like that. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, so if you're baptized as an infant, I don't think you need to be baptized again. So this is because as like this is the thing, right? In my church anyway, which is even amongst the pastors, there's disagreement amongst them, which is like one of them says it quite beautifully, which is like in a baptism, it's not only just you acting, it is God also acting in that baptism. So yeah, there you go. So when someone is baptized, that's how it works. I'm not feeling these strand lines, so I'm just gonna ignore them altogether, and we're just gonna do it as one line. That's, oh my goodness. I feel like it's just way too thick. I've made these pigtails way too thick as well. Oh no, I feel like this is just wrong. I feel like that's just wrong. It's just like I've done something so terrible. I've committed a sin against Frieren because of the way that I'm drawing these hair strands. Why don't we just do that? We're just gonna do one of those, erase one of those. I think we'll actually get to coloring today, guys. So I'm pretty chuffed with that. And let's get to the eyes, which are like this really. All right. Then like this, she's got a little bit of a brow there. Ah, it's just that easy. I'm so chuffed with that. That's actually not bad. That's one of my better drawings in a while. I really like that, Frieren. What do you think, chat? That's what I don't like about evangelical prot churches, is the elders often don't agree on important topics, which is fine. Which is why, like, it's the, I think, it just goes to show the diversity of opinion. Like, for example, like, and for those of you who are Catholics, right, you guys don't agree on anything either. Like, when I ask about the death penalty to a couple of Catholics, they're like, oh, here are 50 different responses as to why Catholics shouldn't support the death penalty, or this is why Catholics should support the death penalty. Like these, like you guys don't agree. Like even on the issue of evolution, right? That's perfectly fine with. Like that is a Catholics are allowed to disagree on that. So I don't want to hear like, no, there's a lot of disagreements on social issues. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't think it's fair for Catholics to say, oh, this is why I don't like being in a Protestant church. It's because you guys disagree on a lot of things, and this is why I go to a Catholic church. It's because I can just submit to any of the teaching that the Catholic Church does. And then I see a bunch of Catholics give different responses on particular issues. It's just not like, I think it's disingenuous is what it is. I've just realized one thing that I can make better about this. Whoops. Staunch creationist. You are not allowed to join if you don't get baptized as an adult in your church. Like, are you still welcome as part of the on Sunday service, or like you can't join the church membership is what you're referring to? If they're not written in doctrine, and then it's okay if they disagree. Okay, here's one example. Vatican II. The number of Catholics I see disagree that Vatican II is a thing that they should submit to is like that's another thing. Do you think Christians should watch horror movies and other stuff like that, like analog horror? I'm not selling this drawing. As I said, Salami, I don't think you were here for this part of the stream, but this is purely because I didn't want to commission an artist for the to make a Frieren, and I've just realized how thick the lines are on the ends of these. Oh, that's gonna be a pain, isn't it? You know what? It is what it is. It's been done. It's been done. We're just gonna get to coloring, so I don't have to worry about this again. Far out. Oh my goodness. I don't want to be annoyed. Anyway, that's the reference, by the way, I was drawing from. So let's say let's compare. Let's compare the Frierens. Frieren on the let's get Frieren on the top. That's reference Frieren, and then Frieren on the bottom. Look at that. That ain't so bad. I'm okay with that, even though that like the last bits are on there. My Catholic friend said he felt convicted about going to Protestant churches in his area because they did not accept the Eucharist, which is every service occurrence in the Mass. Are you drawing with a mouse? No, I'm not drawing with a mouse. This is I'm drawing with a drawing tablet. Thank you. I appreciate you saying this is cute because, as I always say, I love cute anime girls. So that's my motto. That's for sure. All right, let's block out some of these colors now. We do the Eucharist every Sunday at your Anglican church. Oh, that's a thing. What if the yeah, what if a prot church does the would you say, well, I think Anglicans are actually recognized by the Catholic Church because they actually do the Eucharist thing. But okay, here's another thing. The fact that there has been so many interpretations of Vatican II as well, I think it's just like when I see Catholics say like, "Oh, I'm allowed to be racist because previous popes have taught that racism is okay," and I just reject Vatican II's statement on racism. That's the. And if you think I'm strawmanning, that is a genuine thing I've seen. Like that's something that Catholics have genuinely told me. Like that's. And I don't want to hear you say, "Oh, then they're not real Catholics." Well, they say they're Catholics, right? And that just indicates that, especially on things like theological things. Like I'm pretty sure, according to Vatican II, right? Vatican II makes an explicit statement that racism is bad, and then I see some certain Catholics say, "No, racism is actually a good thing." And we should allow it. I've just realized I've forgotten her earrings. That is a terrible thing for me to have forgotten. It's like something. Oops. Podcast son, honestly, that's the problem with many Catholics today. They forget about the authority of the magisterium. That's why there's this apparent division. So I think that's that. And again, like, this is why I don't take the arguments of Catholics seriously sometimes when they say, "Oh, I like going to a Catholic church because I can submit to an authority." And then I see a bunch of Catholics that don't submit to the authority when they they really should. So that's one of my grievances anyway with Catholicism, which is like, of course, I still think we can still be in fellowship, but that's why I wouldn't be a Catholic anytime soon because um, the same the same criticisms that Catholics have of Protestants, which they don't submit to an authority, and here's another thing, right, which is like I like that I can go to a Catholic church and I can just submit to their interpretation of Scripture. But that's the thing. No, you don't submit to their interpretation of Scripture because you are interpreting their interpretation of Scripture. So, for example, if Pope Francis says something, oh, that's okay. I'm going to interpret what Pope Francis said in a different way so that it fits into my own worldview. And then when this isn't even to we haven't even brought up stuff like liberation theology, right? That's another thing. So anyway, this isn't me bashing Catholics. Sorry, I apologize if that seems to be the case. But those are some of the reasons why I definitely I'm not considering becoming a Catholic anytime soon. Anyway, because of those different things. And you might say, oh, why haven't you excommunicated? Like, oh, that's why we excommunicated those people from the church. Then I would say, why haven't you just? They're still in the church by the looks of it. Um, oh, that ain't too bad. That's pretty cute. That's pretty cute. Context we have / my church history is complicated. Went to a Methodist church before this, and you think it's a real presence. Even then, he said it still wasn't transubstantiation, so not truly Christ. Protestantism is another form of Catholicism. I mean, I don't reject that. we are basically Catholics, except we just reject papal infallibility. The thing about Mary. What else do we reject? A couple of things actually, but other than that, we are basically Catholics. But as I said in the previous stream, Catholics but cringe. For real, for real. I'm just gonna see what that looks like from a distance. That doesn't look so bad. Maybe I should have made it a bit the lines a bit thicker then, considering this was gonna be on a wait. Maybe I will change my mind. No, it's not so bad. I think this is fine. This is fine as a thing for Discord. Yeah, she'll be right. Free wind dwelling stream times. I'm a Baptist who believes in some form of presence in the Eucharist. Yeah, what's up, my fantasy elf lovers? This is why I love elves. Total elf love. Oh, except total elf love, except the overweight elf anime. Whoops. Yep, definitely we're back. Gnomes are not better. I don't wanna hear that pro-gnome propaganda. What does Saxon Dixie says? He's a proud human supremacist. Ooh. Now, let's define what a human is. Gnomes and repo. If I hear repo one more time, I'm gonna kaput someone. I'm genuinely gonna go to someone who is playing repo and say, unfortunately, you're not making it the next day, lads. Mate, you're not making it the next day. If I hear that one more time, that damned game. And that's perfectly fine. Cool, cool, cool. We already have... That's a mean thing to say, Drax. What do I have against repo? It's just like... I've seen too many clips of it. I think we already have lethal... Like, we already have repo at home. Why don't we play that? Like, it's that exact same meme of like, oh, mom, I want to play repo. And then we say, oh, we already have repo at home. And then repo at home is just Lethal Company, which it's just... Sorry. I had my rage was just made clear. My rage towards repo. After I had such a, right, I want to see how the shading's done on that. Okay, cool, nice. It's just darker. Actually, so there's this channel that I saw doing cute anime girls in Blender, and I'd love to do that. Actually, I'd love to draw cute anime girls in Blender. Because this drawing thing, even though this looks pretty cool, I don't think it's like anything amazing, and I used a reference for it as well, so I'm not super confident in my own drawing anyway. And there are way more talented people out there than me. So like I would like to maybe this drawing thing for me is okay sometimes, but not all the time. And I could have just used AI. I genuinely could have just used AI. Feel like that's the wrong color. I'm just comparing the colors on my screen and this screen, and it's wrong. Do you plan on streaming you playing more video games? I would if people actually watched it. I think I'll do it as part of a collab because it's me being social with other VTubers. But if we're talking solo, the views on those streams, because I think when people watch me on stream, you want me to actually talk about like interesting stuff. You want me to talk about interesting stuff. You don't want to watch me playing a bunch of video games. You want me to actually do do stuff. So that's why I'm not likely to. If it is like a collab or if it's a community event, that's fine by me because that's like community building and there's like a purpose to it and it's cool and it's hip and it's just like where there's a purpose to it. But if we're just talking about like um if we're talking about like not that and it's just me playing solo, probably not. Maybe if it's like another my side, sure. Um but yeah, it has to be a popular anime game that's popping off. Okay, cool. So that's part one. Oh, I haven't done the. You know what? I'm glad I don't have to do the eyes. Whoops. Let's just clean up the edges. There we go. Just clean up some of those edges. I would like to try and collab with someone, but I don't know how to ask. Just ask. That's a don't be afraid. Don't collab with me though. Collab with probably someone in your time zone, preferably. Um, I was actually so if you guys saw uh the thing that Celeste and a bunch of other Christian VTubers did. I'd love to. I was actually invited to that, but I couldn't find the time to do it, like because our time zones. Well, I actually could have joined them, but I already reacted to it pretty quickly. So, and that was on April 1st as well. So, it would have been bad. Um, there we go. Is that why the early gaming era ended? Yeah. But I will still, like, as I said, I'm not opposed to doing it if it's for collabs. Because it's like me hanging out with fellow Christian VTubers, and it's good. It's good to. I like that we have like a mini community. Um, I love that. I love the community that Celeste has built, and it's great that it's growing, and that there are more and more Christian VTubers every day. And it's just like I'm excited for the growth in that space, and we best be praying for them that they they have the energy that God grant them the energy to continue working in that regard. Because of course, if you joined in January, right, you would see how sweaty I was on the YouTube game. So hopefully there's another person, like I think Celeste is the most likely to just continue popping off. I think someone like Silent Bell, who is still working on her faith, is still amazing. So yeah. All right, cool. Let's do the highlights on the hair as well. And we'll do this with the something like that. No, definitely not like that. It's got to be like way, way lower. Like that kind of. There we go. I'm quite happy with that. That's pretty cool. I'm chuffed with that. There we go. And then next, whoops. It's always so relieving to me that there are Christian VTubers and like that on social media. It is kind of a breath of fresh air. My problem is procrastinating, and I get like stuck between walking in faith and sitting in it. Then pray for God to help you stop procrastinating. I mean, I say that like it's a really simple thing, but especially for me in content creation, I think that's the like procrastination hits me a lot as well, which is why I think it's just really helpful to depend on God in those times of great procrastination. And if he doesn't answer that prayer, maybe he's like he's pushing you to do that, to be obedient. Which reminds me, there's something I need to put on our Connect group chat. Whoops. There we go. And then last bit. Well, this isn't the last bit. Actually, we still need to do a little bit of shading. You know what? That's fine by me. That's looking really cute actually, and I'm quite chuffed with that. So where's our? That's the hair. No, we would have to do it all over it. We're just gonna have like this, that color, and that brush. We're just gonna opacitize it. Whoops. And let's see how that looks like. That doesn't look too bad, does it? So the program I use is Krita, which is very, very cool. I like using it because, of course, Photoshop is too expensive. Make sure, be careful not to download like the virus version of Krita. I'd recommend you just pay the $27 on the Microsoft Store. There's a shadow up here. Any other shadows? Yes, there's a shadow right here. Sorry, I'm ignoring you, chat, but we are rapidly. If you make that alpha, merge. I think that's how you want to do it. Merge with layer below, then group chat. Nope. Ah, there you go. We've done it. We've cracked the code. Cool. That's pretty cute. I'm really happy with that. that's a cute Frieren, doesn't it? Let us. I'm gonna just get the podcasts on blue. Let's remove you. And just want you guys. Yeah, there we go. I don't know how to make this into a square though. Well, that's our finished product. There you go. I'm pretty chuffed with that. That's not too bad. That's pretty cute, isn't it? I'm actually quite. I'm over the moon, as some would say. That's not too bad. Anyway, that's our new mascot for the server, for Discord, because Frieren won Waifu Wars. That's it. No, you're good. Sometimes I get in the zone when I draw to him. My mom sometimes has to tap me on the shoulder. Oof. Drawing with a mouse? I'm not drawing with a mouse. That'd be cool to know. I want to do some streaming too. All right, cool. That's it for today's stream. Thank you for joining me on this drawing stream on the Christian Anime Podcast. Just under 2 hours, I think, so that's good. We got to it. So thank you very much, everyone. See you. Take care. God bless. I hope you all have a good rest of your day.